Now that we've looked at how we can use organizational patterns within the sentence, let's look at how we can use them in the same paragraph as well to indicate some of the patterns that are there too. So in your materials, you have a set of slides. You have some ways that you can use these ideas to make a descriptive pattern and some sample sentences that you can take over and play with how to add those ideas in there. You have one where you can play with the chronological elements. You've got one where we can look at cause and effect patterns about how writers develop paragraphs that way. Cause and effect. Did I do 2 of those? Yes, I did 2 of those, so I'll delete that one. And then we've got a way that we can explore how we can use these ideas to really play with how we would develop our sentences into an order that showed a cause and effect pattern with it. So what I'd like for you to do is play with that just a little bit and see what you think you come up with about how those paragraphs can be designed using those paragraphs. So here are the ideas of how I thought I might develop my paragraph. I want to describe what it's like when I get goosebumps, and so I slid over the sentences about what they did to me. They make me shiver, about the time whenever I experience that. I've actually got 2 of those. Sometimes it's when I get cold, and sometimes it's when I'm afraid. And then I also have a sentence over here that they look like sesame seeds. And so I can really add those ideas in a way that shows that I'm describing these goosebumps. Here's how I chose to develop the chronological order. You notice that I'm really keying in on the first and then, but one of the things that we can look at with that is that sometimes you don't have a key word that tells you what the order is. You just have to think about the logical order and what that is. So I can still use a chronological order and tell about the order of events before that I don't really even have the keywords that help add that to the description of chronological pattern. Well, here's how I thought about putting my cause and effect paper together. I thought about they made me shiver. Then what happens? Get the bumps. Then what happens? I shake all over. So we have a multiple cause and effect. I think sometimes too we could think about it in another way and think about you have goosebumps, so let's look at all the reasons why you might get that. So I could even use a different one where I could list all of the causes for the goosebumps right here. When they're afraid, emotional, kind of like whenever I eat a nice piece of chocolate. And so that's another way that we could do that. This would be the cause or the effect, getting the goosebumps, and then all of the details in the paragraph would be the effects. So that's another way you can do it. Now we're ready to look for a way that you could organize the problem and solution pattern. I took all of the sentences and I thought about all the things that I think are problems that are, it's kind of troublesome with having the goosebumps. And then I need to think about, well, what are some of the ways that I can solve that problem? Well, we've got our 2 sentences right here. I can make them disappear by covering up, or I can get busy doing something else. Those are solutions for the problem. So this paragraph, you'll see that these parts right here that we have, oops, it looks like it's not going to drag, but we have these first parts, these first 4 sentences really help define what our problem is, and then the last 2 sentences really give us what our solution is in it. That way you can see that there are all kinds of ways that you can use these patterns inside of your paragraph, not just as your sentences. Now, the fun one that we're going to look at next is how we use those paragraphs to move in a progression throughout the essay, that they function almost like as sections together. That'll be fun to look at it.